phone 2. I've had it for about 4 weeks now. I want to talk to you guys about the pros, the cons, the frustrations I've had with this switch from an iPhone to now the Light phone 2. First, let's start off with my main reason for switching, because it is, at least for me, a big shift. Probably the number one reason I wanted to try this out was presence with my family, presence with my friends, present to my situation more often than not. It really became a disruption if the setting was uncomfortable or boring. I would use my iPhone like an adult version of a pacifier, essentially. Social media, YouTube, email, just straight up Googling something. If I found myself in a situation that I kind of want to get myself out of or like numb myself to any sort of feelings that I didn't necessarily like, the phone was kind of the first thing I would turn to in those settings. So being a dad of 2 young kids and a husband, a lot of time spent with the family, I really wanted to make sure that if I was at home with my family, I wasn't being easily distracted. So that was one of the main reasons for me trying this out. Another motivation for this is I love technology, but I like using it on my terms. I don't necessarily like feeling handcuffed to it. And I felt like the iPhone had just become an extension of myself, like an extension of my brain. I would not force myself to try to remember something if I knew within a second or two I could have my phone up and on a web browser and just finding it. So by not having that convenience just at the snap of a finger in the palm of my hand, my hope was that I would force my brain to do a little bit more work, and I like the idea of that. I think the main motivation kind of centered around human connection and concern that I have about how technology is really getting in the way rather than helping us connect as human beings to one another. So I bought my Light phone off Huckberry. Shout out to Huckberry. I'll link them below in the description. And even if you buy it from Light phone, like the actual company from their website, there's no return policy. So you are committed once you buy this thing. I went into this decision knowing that I was gonna at least be committed to this phone for a year. And I don't know, I kind of liked the finality of that, knowing that if I got uncomfortable a couple weeks in, I couldn't just return it and get a refund. So there's definitely a high commitment aspect to this purchase. Okay, let's talk about some of the features of the phone. So let's start off first with messages. I used iMessage all the time on my iPhone for work, for social interactions, you name it. I used iMessage for it, sending links, taking pictures and sending pictures to my parents of the kids, getting gifts and emojis and all that kind of stuff. So iMessage was way more integrated to my daily phone routine than I had imagined until I didn't have it anymore. So on the Light phone, messages are very, very basic. You've got a QWERTY keyboard that pops up in a landscape format, and because of the e-ink display, the refresh rate is very slow, and so there is an aspect of slowing yourself down and really being intentional about what you're writing and what you're typing. You want to be as succinct as possible when you're writing text messages. And I'd say inside the 4 weeks that I've had this, I have gotten better at writing text messages, faster and more efficient, but it still is frustrating. The benefit is I've actually wound up calling people. And now instead of trading 5 or 6 text messages back and forth, oftentimes a 2-minute phone conversation is a lot more efficient at getting the information that I needed or making the connection with the person. So talking to people more often than I would have is definitely a pro in my opinion. Now let's talk about phone calls, actually calling someone on the Light phone. Holding it up to your ear is not super comfortable. This edge right here is not very rounded, so I wouldn't call it sharp, but if you're pressing it against your ear for any longer than a couple minutes, I would say it starts to get uncomfortable. As far as the speaker goes, it is good enough to have a conversation and hear what the other person on the other line is saying and for them to hear you, so it gets the job done. It's fine. When you open up your phone to the actual phone screen, it just shows in chronological order all of your like contacts that you've recently contacted. And as you swipe down, that just goes farther and farther into the past. Now, it just shows you your contact name that you communicated with, and when you click on that contact, it'll show you in one thread any text messages going back and forth or calls, and just with a little phone icon and a little time stamp next to it for how long the call duration was. So you've got call logs and text kind of mixed all together. I kind of like the call log being mixed in with the messages. So the uncomfortable edge on the ear is a perfect segue into one of the main things I was looking forward to on this phone, which was using my wireless Apple AirPods with this phone, because it does have Bluetooth connectivity. The Bluetooth connectivity on this is not very slick. Just to connect the Apple AirPods via Bluetooth to the phone was a bit of a workout, and it would work for the time, let's say I was making a call. However, once the phone would go to sleep or I would put the headphones away, it would break off the Bluetooth connection, and if I just opened them back up, popped them back in, turned my phone back on, it seemed like a 50-50 shot as to whether or not they would sync back up again. So I thought, maybe if I stick with this for a week, I'll figure out exactly how the Bluetooth connectivity works, and I'll get better at it. I didn't get any better at it, and in fact, it was so frustrating that I wound up just switching to a regular wired set of headphones that just plugged into the headphone jack, and that actually worked so good that I've really not missed the Bluetooth headphones at all. And now it's kind of nice just having a little pair of headphones that I know is always just plugged into my phone, and whenever I need to make a phone call, I just pop them in, make the phone call. Okay, a couple of the other tools you can have active on your phone dashboard would be music and podcasts. I'm 4 weeks in and I still have not figured it out. I love using my iPhone for both podcasts and music, and Spotify and just the Apple podcast app were really high on my list of regularly used apps on my iPhone. So you can get music on this phone. You just have to own the MP3 file. And because I've been using Spotify ever since it first came out, I don't really own any music, and I haven't taken the time to figure out the software that's out there to convert the files into a format necessary in order to put it on here. Same thing with audiobooks. I really wanted to convert those to files, and even if it took a little extra work to take the file, put it on my phone, listen to it, delete it off the phone, I was willing to do that. However, I've found that pretty much audiobooks that I have through Audible, even if I download them, they are in a format that doesn't allow me to upload them to the phone. Who knows? I might get more motivated to do that. I do miss accessibility to my Spotify playlists in on a mobile device. So I think the overall tone I've had so far on this video has been a little on the negative side for the phone. I probably haven't convinced you to get one of these by now. However, I am in the first 4 weeks of owning this, and I am getting used to all the inconveniences that come along with no longer carrying a supercomputer around in my pocket and just not having infinity at my fingertips. So let me go more into the positive things that I've noticed just from the 4 weeks I've had it. One of my big goals over the last couple years has been to read more books, and within the last 4 weeks I've already finished 2 books. I'm well into my 3rd one, and for me that is huge. I was impressed with myself over this last year of even getting to the point where I was maybe getting a book done every month. And the fact that I have finished 2 in the last couple weeks, the first couple weeks that I had the phone, was really significant to me. I think that can be due to a couple different things, not just getting this phone. I've really been aware of how much I'm engaging with technology. That would be my computer and TV as well. And I think there's been a wholesale scaling back of my time on technology, which has probably contributed to me reading so much. So that has been a really good thing in my opinion. As far as being more present with my family, I would say there has been a noticeable difference. I still have my computer up on my desk in my home office, and when I am curious if there is any work-related things that I need to know about, I can just go sit down at my desk. I have noticed that I will spend a little bit more time on my computer when I'm at home, just because that's where the things are that I like to waste time on, Instagram and YouTube. So my time on my computer has increased a little bit, but it's definitely nowhere close to the amount of time that I would spend on my phone, say just being on my couch or scrolling or endlessly watching YouTube videos. So I will say at week 4, I am liking it. If you had caught me at week 2, I would not have been saying that. I was very frustrated and I was kind of wondering how I was going to make it a whole year. But now that I'm at week 4, I'm starting to see the benefits of it. I'm starting to get used to the little workarounds. So that's it. My hope is to keep you updated on how this is going, maybe with another check-in video at 3 or 4 months in, and see if anything's changed. If you are out there wondering whether or not you should get this phone, I would love to chat with you. I think this concept lately of minimizing technology's influence in your life to maximize your human connection or to be present to your current setting is very important, and I would love to talk to any of you guys. Reach out in the comments below and I will try to get back to you. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helped.